Welcome back. This is the IRS Radio Hour on AM560 The Answer. Thank you, Debbie. And I'm joined by Deborah Schreiner and Jim Leahy. And we're going to go right into our next segment.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
Just relax and listen to it. Kind of be like one of my favorite shows here on 560 where he plays country music for half the show on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get that.
I don't get it either.
It seems like... And it's always the same song he plays. I'm not going to mention names. Ohanity. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to... this week, I always talk about what's going on in my office. And this week I had the same question several times in different ways. And the question was... What's wrong, Jim? The question was... aren't you going to file that offer and compromise for me?
Can I get that? That offer compromise?
That's what they talk about.
Can I do that?
And the thing is, of course, everybody wants that.
Can I pay pennies on the dollar?
Everybody wants to pay pennies on the dollar, and that's what you hear on the radio all the time. It's like, and I think it's so disingenuous of these outfits who push that because so few people get it. Really, the best time when. There's a couple of good scenarios. The best scenario for an offer and compromise is I'm on a fixed budget. It's low, and I owe a lot of money to the IRS. Then you're probably going to get an offer and compromise. And I have one. One of the best that we ever did was a couple owed $60,000, close to it was like $58,000, and I have this plaque hanging up in my office. And we resolved it for. Get this, $25.
Get out of here.
$25.
You talked about it before. Get out. Yes. There's no way.
And there is a way. And we did it. Okay. But again, it's an older couple. They're on a fixed budget. All of their income, which was Social Security, was eaten up by all their expenses. And we could prove it. And it's really, I always tell people, well, that's what makes having a law office working for you rather than these IRS resolution companies working for you, right? They just, they just kind of do what the IRS, they turn around and say, okay, you want some? Oh, can you do the IRS? The IRS says no. Oh, they said no, I'm sorry. They kind of pass along information. We try to build a case, okay, to get you the results that you're looking for. And sometimes, again, everybody wants the offer and compromise, because that's the easiest way out. But the problem is the IRS is very stingy on these offers. They don't like to give them to you. And if they find a reason not to give it to you, they won't. And even sometimes when it's clear that you have one that you qualify, they won't give it to you and they'll make you appeal. And they make it hard, okay? Because that's just the way they are. I was liking it to some insurance companies. There's a lot of insurance companies out there. You get an accident and you call and say, hey, I got an accident. Am I covered? They say, no, you're not covered. Well, so a certain percentage of people who are covered, when they get that information, will just turn around and say, I guess I'm not covered. It's not covered. Well, and then the insurance company won't have to pay them.
Yeah, it's that easy. Yeah.
Only the people who come back and say, wait a minute, I'm covered. This is covered. And they say, okay, you're right. We're going to pay you. But it's like a lot of them will turn everybody down. The IRS is very similar to that in that when you put in an offer and compromise, they turn almost everybody down.
You mean they're like the DMV?
Exactly, yes. And that they don't want to give it to you. They want to find a reason not to give it to you. And so if you're not on a fixed budget, at work, my income might fluctuate, for instance, and you put together a package for this offer and compromise. Because an offer and compromise is not when you go to the IRS and you say, I know I owe you $60,000. Will you take $25? Will you take $100? How about $5,000? Will you take $5,000? That's not the way it works. There's a computation. It's and they look at your income, they look at your expenses, they look at your assets, and they have an analysis and some sort of computation in order to come up with a number. Now, the negotiation really comes into what kind of numbers are we going to use for my expenses and what are the value, the value of my assets.
That's your attorney right there. Because if you're not represented, you're going to be in trouble.
Exactly.
Because they're going to dictate anything.
So, for instance, I had a client this week, and he has 3 kids. He has joint custody of. So he's got 4 people in the house. But when he goes to the IRS, he does it by himself. Well, you have a lot more expenses if you have 4 people in the house than if you have 1 person in the house. And he's like, well, they're not with me all the time. But the IRS standard says that I can take for a family of 4 because I have joint custody. But when he goes by himself, he didn't know that. And so the number he has to wind up paying the IRS is vastly greater than the number he probably should have paid the IRS. Mm-hmm. Okay, so all these kind of little nuances that you don't know of that I do, that we try to work into this whole thing. And again, this offer, if I put an offer together and as I said, there's this computation and you have to have a lot of evidence. So that's why we say we build the case, because you need evidence. I need bank statements. I need receipts and all this to prove what these lines are. Each and every line, each and every deduction, I want to have evidence to prove it, to back up what I'm saying. Uh-huh. Okay, if I'm not on a fixed budget and it's going to take the IRS 6 months or 8 months or maybe sometimes longer in order to even look at my offer. And then they're going to call and say, well, has anything changed? Well, if I have a fluctuating budget, yeah, something's changed. Yes. It's not the same anymore. Okay, yes. Well, then we're going to need all this news. Then this is going to be denied, because they're looking for a reason to deny it. And they said, no, here's another thing. Okay, so I got another client this week about an offer and compromise. The IRS told him, file an offer and compromise, because he got levied, and they told him, file an offer and compromise and we'll get this resolved. What they didn't tell him was that the statute, it's called the CISA date, collection statute expiration date, after which the IRS can't collect from you. That's approaching for this guy. It's only going to be a couple of months away. And if he filed a offer and compromise, that stops that. It adds time to that expiration date, that statute of limitations. And so if he filed an offer, it's going to give the IRS a lot more time to collect from him. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so it's not a good idea to do that. To ask for an offer.
It matters on your particular situation.
So there's so many different factors that go into it. Mm-hmm. So when somebody tells you on the radio or when you call them on the phone and say, hey, I'd like that offer thing. Can you? Oh, yeah, we can get that for you. Well, you'll pay 25 cents on the dollar. They don't even know what you make, or they didn't do the calculations. They can't possibly know how much you're gonna settle for. So they're selling you a bag of goods that they don't even know what's in the bag. They cannot tell you that. And anybody who tells you that they know before they investigate, they got to be lying to you, because they can't know. You could have, for instance, if I have a lot of money in a 401k, and a lot of people do work for companies, and they have a lot of money in a 401k or a retirement account. Well, most of my creditors can't reach my 401k or my retirement money here in Illinois, but the IRS can. They can get that money. No. And so if I have a lot of money in a 401k or a lot of equity in my home, and I try to get an offer and compromise, it's going to be denied each and every time, unless I'm willing to give them that money out of my 401k. And really, what all I'm doing is paying them then, because I'm taking the money out of my 401k and I'm giving them to the IRS. I don't need an offer for that. I can just give them the money. Yes. Because the first option, there's 6 things you can do if you owe the IRS money. The first thing is pay them. So if I have money in a 401k, I could take the money out and just pay the IRS, and I'd be done with them.
You know what? That's awesome that you say that the 6 things you could do with the IRS, because we've talked about it before on the show. How can I go and look that up? Is there
Well, the first place you go is the ChicagoTaxTeam.com, because it's right there on the front page. Mm-hmm. I have a video up there about the 6 things you can do if you owe the IRS money. Mm-hmm. And also I have a blog, so you can Google me and 6 things you can do, and I'll pop up. Or you go to our YouTube channel.
That's right. That's right.
It's on there. So I put that out there a lot because it's so important that people recognize.
What's the YouTube name?
It's Stephen A. Leahy.
And you can go on YouTube and you can watch live videos of this.
I was very creative.
Of this show. Again, we do the live show on Fridays, so that way if you people are out there listening on Sunday at 5 and you guys are sitting back and go, man, I want to call in, go on YouTube, watch us live on Fridays. That way you can ask a question, we can answer it for you. That, or you can give attorney Stephen Leahy in open tax resolutions a call, 312-664-6649, or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. That's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're enjoying the show after the commercial break.
Don't get sucked into an offer of compromise if it's not going to work for you, because it might hurt you.
That's right.
So sounds too good to be true. It could be.
Take those words to heart. And listen to our sponsors and come right back here on AM560.
The Answer.